Debt. What is it? And have we been misinformed about it by previous generations and the media? If it is such a bad thing, why is it used by people from all levels of wealth? Let's have a look at some of the misconceptions of debt, what we can do about debt, and how we can use it to our advantages. And please remember, none of what I say in this video is considered financial advice. Debt is a term that is thrown around the media and in conversation, but put simply, debt is an amount of money that we owe. When looking at a net worth, debt is what lowers our net worth when combined with assets. Not all debt is the same, however. In finance, debt is often split into high and low interest debt. We have all heard the saying that nothing in this world is free, and interest is the costs that we pay for acquiring debt. It is why banks and other money loaning organizations post billion-dollar profits. As we said earlier, not all debt is the same. It is often split into high and low interest. There is no set benchmark for the difference between the two. For the purposes of my own finance, I often consider debt that is higher than 6% interest to be high interest debt. This is not an exact figure. There is no benchmark given from any professionals or analysts as to where the two different levels are. And 6% is on the lower side of the numbers commonly used to determine this. When looking at my own finances, I always find it is better to use conservative numbers when forecasting. But you can use whatever numbers make sense to your circumstances and to your objectives. Now that we understand the difference between low interest and high interest debt, what does this mean for us? When beginning our finance journey, many professionals recommend that you pay down high interest debt fully, or as much as possible. Balances on credit cards can quickly become financial issues for us if you continue to only make minimum monthly repayments. There are many credit cards in Australia that have interest rates of more than 20%. This can potentially cost you tens of thousands of dollars over the lifetime of payments with balances as low as only a few $1,000s. This money would be much better spent helping you to achieve your financial goals than to sitting on a bank's profit line. As we discussed in another video, everyone's circumstances are different, so there is no one-size-fits-all approach to paying down high interest debts. Two of the more commonly used methods are increasing repayments or utilizing debt consolidation loans. If you have the means to pay more than the minimum repayments, this will reduce the total amount owing. As you reduce the total amount owing, you will reduce the amount of interest that can be charged to you. On the other hand, utilizing a debt consolidation loan means that you can move your balances from a higher interest debts rates of credit cards to lower interest rates. If you are consolidating debt from multiple locations, this will also reduce the amount of regular fees that you are paying. But you need to make sure that you do your research and seek advice before adopting these methods. So if debt is a bad thing that has a negative impact on our financial journey goals, why have we heard multiple stories in the media about high-worth people taking on multi-million-dollar debts on a regular basis? Like many other things we cover on this channel, debt can be used as a tool in finance. And like all tools, there is a right and a wrong way to use them. This is where the difference between how the average person uses debt compared with the high-worth person. The average person takes on debt in order to get something that does not generate any financial value. Using credit cards or buy now, pay later options to purchase the latest phone, go on a luxury holiday, or to go out to dinner with friends are examples of debt not creating value for a person. While getting a loan to buy a brand new car gives us a good feeling, the interest from the loan will result in us paying much more than the value of the car over the lifetime of the loan. And with a few small exceptions, the value of the car will depreciate the moment you take ownership and will continue to drop. Now, let's look at how high worth people use debt. But first, let's talk about why we use debt. Using debt allows us to access higher levels of fund than we would normally have access to. For most of us, we take on debt to buy a house. The average cost of a house in Australia is approximately $800,000. Now, the majority of us do not have this amount of money ready to go in our bank accounts. In order to gain access to the amount of money we need to buy our house, we bring a small percentage of the total amount, normally 10 to 20%, to the borrower as a deposit. High worth people will use debt to access higher amounts of cash to get assets that generate wealth. They will use these higher levels of cash to purchase shares or bonds, real estate, or they will use it to acquire businesses. Many of these assets can generate an income, which can be used to help pay down the debt while the asset grows in value. This doesn't mean that we should take on debt at every chance we get to acquire assets. While it is good to obtain assets that increase in value, it is important to understand that there is still a cost to obtaining debt, and not all assets that generate value will generate an income that can be used to cover the cost of this debt. It is important that we do our own research on acquiring debt and the asset that will be used the debt to obtain. You should always consider your financial circumstances and your goals before using debt as a tool to build wealth. Now that we have covered debt, we know the importance of reducing it, but we also know what should be avoided when it comes to using debt. We have also had a look into the insight of how high worth people use debt to further increase their wealth. We can use this insight to increase our own wealth, if this is the right option for us. If you have found this video helpful, please subscribe to Forever Finance so you will know the moment more helpful videos are uploaded. If you have something that you would like to see us cover, please leave a comment below. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and we'll see you all next time.